Thank you for tuning in to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please subscribe to our weekly Boston Bruins hockey talk on listening platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify Podcasts. We'd certainly appreciate it if you give our show a 5-star rating along with a written review. You can also subscribe to our official YouTube channel for a video version of our weekly program. If you'd like to support our show financially, please go to our blackandgoldhockey.com website and click on our affiliated Fanatics banner before shopping online. Another way to financially support our weekly program is to become a Patreon member to be eligible for weekly Boston hockey prizes and monthly Boston Bruins hand-signed jersey giveaways. Please go to patreon.com/blackandgoldhockeypodcast and donate just $1 per episode. Many thanks for the continued support and enjoy the show.
Behind that, the Sanderson, Orr! Bobby Orr! Orr from the Boston Bruins!
30 seconds left in the period. The Bruins are shorthanded. Ray Bork.
Ray Bork from the face-off circle to the right of Reggie Lemon. Fired it down and Whitmore blew it. Did he ever? To Bergeron, the drive, save, rebound, he's loose. Second kicks him loose. Bergeron scores! The Bruins Bergeron with the point of the game in their throats. They rip it out of Toronto's hands and kill the beast. The Boston Bruins have won it after being 3 down in the third.
What's up, Bruins fans? Welcome back to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. This is episode 302, and it's brought to you by betonline.ag. Please go to betonline.ag and use that code CLNS50 because it does us a great deal of service. I am absolutely fucking stoked, and I'm sorry the F-bomb went off immediately to start the show, but the Boston Bruins are 5-1 to start this 2022-23 season, but that's right now on the side shelf. We have our boy right down here, Dominic Tiano, joining the program again after a bit of a health scare. He is back with us to talk for as long as he can, but I'm so happy to see his face and hear that voice again. Dom, how's it going, buddy?
Good, boys. Glad to be back and talking some hockey, and we'll see if I can make it through the entire show, but, glad to be back, that's for sure.
And Dom, make sure, you don't overstress yourself. If you need to leave, that's absolutely fine. We both understand, and anyone who doesn't understand, trigger warning, can fuck themselves.
Tell them to Google it. Google it. But very blessed to have the time to talk to you again, and hopefully you're getting back to somewhat regular health. I know we talked a little bit about what went on pre-show. Not going to get into all that details. But it is good to have you back and good to hear that everything's like it's getting there. We're not totally there yet, but we're making strides to be a little more healthier and so on. So why don't we start off by talking about the last 4 games of the week. And I don't want to do the breakdowns because there was 4 games this week. It's been a crazy week, up and down. A lot of love for the what the Boston Bruins did this week, but let's just talk as a week whole. But to start us off, let's give the honor to Dom. Dom, what do you think about these last 4 days this week? Some good points, bad points, and obviously what you've seen so far in the start of a season where we all knew that there's some key players that are going to be out of this lineup, but they've come together under a Jim Montgomery voice. And just seem to be inspired to the next man up mentality. The bottom 6 is working. The goaltending has been really good, and so on. What are you seeing so far from this team?
Wow, there's so much, Mark. First of all, I want to say if somebody told me at the start of the season the team would be 5-1 to start, I would have said you're off your rocker. You don't miss 2 superstars like Marchand and McAvoy and go and start 5-1. So credit to the Bruins for, that next man up mentality. But things I like, Linus Ullmark, I'm going to start there because the three of us have heard so many times about, the cap hit. They don't need him. They've got Swayman. Well, he basically stole it in the last 2 games, and that's why you need Linus Ullmark. He's just too valuable to the team right now. And, saving $5 million cap hit isn't saving you $5 million cap hit. You would have had to spend it on another goaltender somewhere, and you likely wouldn't be getting the results you're getting now with him. That's number one. Number two, Nick Foligno. We've said it many times that the Bruins didn't acquire Nick Foligno for regular season hockey. They acquired him for playoff hockey, and unfortunately, last playoffs he was injured, and we're seeing what a 100% healthy Foligno is capable of doing. I never wrote him off. I understood the business side of the game meant that his contract needed to go. But I think realistically now they've got to look at other options just because of the way he's playing. AJ Greer, what can you say about it? Huge surprise. And maybe him and Foligno, they split time going forth, keeping them fresh. Taylor Hall, I know Taylor Hall is a great hockey player, but, the last couple of games, he's taken it to another level. He's clutch. He's coming through when the game is on the line at both ends of the ice. I'm on the other side, the flip side, I'm a little bit disappointed with Trent Frederick. I expected more, and I'm not seeing it. Craig Smith, and obviously Jim Montgomery is probably a little bit disappointed with him as well, having him as a healthy scratch for 2 games prior to yesterday. So Matty Grzelcyk's come back and looks like he hasn't missed a beat after his surgery. Derek Forbort, another plus. I knew he was working on his skating in the off season. Obviously, he's done that and he's improved that. There's a lot of pluses. There's a couple of negatives, and I'll hand it over to Kevin to touch on anybody I missed that deserves a mention.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with everything perfectly, as usual, Dom. But last pod, I said, if we could come out of this week 2-2, that's a blessing. Well, they exceeded our expectations. They went 3-1. I think that is a fantastic week. And I did say if they were going to lose a game in there, it was probably going to be the Senators for sure. I felt like that was a trap game. Their offense is overwhelming, regardless how their defensive depth is. They have a very overwhelming offense there. So that ended up going the way I thought it would after travel and playing the day previous. And then the Anaheim game was the other game I thought they could possibly lose. Well, they almost, it was close. It was an overtime game. They ended up pulling it out, thankfully. So they did go 3-1, which I'm very happy with. Linus Ullmark, as he said, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm just going to say he's giving you elite level goaltending. I'm not saying he's an elite goaltender. There's a long journey to gain that type of, that type of thing to be called, but the goaltending we're seeing right now is just unbelievable. He's spot on. How can you root against him? Jeremy Swayman, he has some things that he needs to fine tune, but I think Ullmark is going to help him get there. I don't think I see any issues with that. Craig Smith, as you said, I thought he played a lot better last game. You saw a little bit more of that good board work that he can do. He was getting the shot off more, which was nice. So I'm not really, too bummed there for now. But I think moving forward, he's probably the guy you want to look at to try to move out for sure. Because you have guys who can do it. You got Greer, you got McLaughlin in the wings, you got, plenty. I mean, I put out a lineup that I'd like for healthy, but we can talk about that another time. Taylor Hall looks a lot better. I'm not sure if he's 100% healthy, but maybe he's getting a little bit better as he's going along. Jake DeBrusk, my God. How can you not talk about Jake DeBrusk? That kid is just a whole different player right now. We've seen streaky DeBrusk, we've seen bad DeBrusk. This is the DeBrusk we thought we were getting, and this is what we're getting, and it's fantastic to see. He's fantastic. So I'm going to pass it off to Mark and let him go ahead and talk about anything else.
You guys have brought on some very, very valid points on what you've seen for the personal eye tests. Again, I'm just going to go back to a lot of the message that Jim Montgomery and John Gruden have mentioned in previous interviews, that they want to generate more offense from the back end, and I'm continue to see those types of impacts from the blue line more and more as we move forward into this new voice, this new type of system that Jim Montgomery is trying to preach, and it's nice to see everybody buying in as well. The bottom six has been a tremendous thing to see when you're talking about offense and secondary scoring. Nick Foligno just seems to be has taken on that type of leadership role on the bottom six to, really exemplify the need to be offensive, but also be gritty and a pain in the ass to play against. And I think, just to not make a long-winded answer to all these questions, but I just really think that the way everybody's buying in and doing it without people in the lineup like McAvoy and Marchand, like Dom mentioned, has been just that next man up mentality thing that we've really wanted to see more in previous seasons, and I'm seeing a lot of it today. So, I mean, in these early games of this Boston Bruins 2022-23 season. So, but again, I see a lot of it online. It's October. It's October hockey, pump the brakes, and so on. And yeah, I get a little excited sometimes when I see this team play like this, and how everybody seems to be congelling like a team again and a family again, and we're on a mission once again to do things good while windows are closed or open, whatever. But it's still just a great thing to see so far, and man, I cannot wait till these superstar players like Marchand and McAvoy get inserted back into the lineup. And then what are we going to look at? I mean, it could be just lights out, coming in November and early December when these guys come back on to the team.
And not just the two of them, Mark. We've already seen Grizzly come back and look like he's not missed a step. But Brandon Carlo as well. I think that if Carlo can come back just before Marchand and McAvoy do, and be a better Brandon Carlo than he was a year ago, that's going to make a huge difference to the Bruins blue line. Their PK right now is lights out.
Yes.
Okay? It's lights out without Charlie McAvoy and Brandon Carlo on it. Now, you add those two on the back end on the PK, what do you got? My big concern with this team right now is the power play. And, I remember the three of us having this conversation a year ago, even under Bruce Cassidy. I'm seeing that the zone entries today look nothing different than they did under Cassidy. It's like skate it up the ice, pass it to a guy who's stationary at the blue line, and try to gain entry that way. And it just doesn't work. Every NHL team has seen it now with the Bruins for years, and they have it figured out. So I'm surprised there hasn't been anything different there. But a lot of their issues on the power play are entries. And I'm not sure how much Marchand and McAvoy changed that, because they usually don't go with those two to try to gain entry. It's usually Pasternak or David Krejci.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Mark had mentioned, people saying pump the brakes. It's only 6 games. It's only October. I'm not pumping crap. There's no way I'm pumping anything because what I'm seeing with this team right now is something I have not seen with this team in a good while. And that is depth in scoring, just 4 lines buying in, a team that looks like they are completely energized. And this is without Charlie McAvoy, Brandon Carlo, Brad Marchand. I mean, and a majority of it was without Matt Grzelcyk. So I'm not pumping crap. I know what I'm watching. I understand it's early, but I don't care. I don't care if it's early. I know what I'm watching. I understand what I'm viewing. And it's nothing like what we've seen before. So don't tell me to pump shit because I'm not.
Just go back to the Ottawa game, Kevin, that you had basically as a scheduled loss. Twice they came back from 3-goal deficits.
Yeah, almost a second time, almost.
Almost.
I thought they were going to get it. I thought they were.
Right. The old adage is true. You can't win the cup in October, but you can lose it in October.
Absolutely.
And one more thing on the power play that, you mentioned the power play. One thing that I think they could do to help this power play out is switch from exactly what you're talking about, this zone entry that's not working, to getting a little dump and chase in there. And the best way to do that is to balance out these units and put a little meat potatoes in there. Put a guy like Foligno on one of them, put a guy like Zacha on the other one. 2 guys that will get in deep and retrieve the puck and get it back to who you need to get it back to, and then they can return to net front. It just seems simple to me. They have 2 power plays. They have enough players that they could make 2 power play units that could be number 1 power play units on any team. So get those 2 units out there. Get some meat potatoes in there, so that way when you throw the puck in there, you've got guys who can get in there. DeBrusk with his speed, Zacha with his board work, Foligno with everything he's been doing. I mean, God, he's a monster. You have guys who can do it.
Speed. Even Hall with his speed on the opposite
exactly.
of DeBrusk.
Yep, and switch it up. Don't always dump and chase, of course. Sometimes you're going to want to do your normal zone entry that you do, but if you mix it up with just a little bit, you're going to confuse people. It's going to make it a lot easier to gain entry. And I think the power play last game started getting a lot better on their zone entries as the game went along, mostly the second unit, which is surprising, but I just think they're overloading too many good players on that top power play. Everyone wants the puck. Everyone wants to give the puck to Pasternak. It's just predictable. So switch it up a little bit. Get 2 units in there that can really take it to it. Because think about it this way. You put your first PP unit in there, and they're working well, and you got that PK unit hemmed in. You can take one player off one at a time, put that second unit out that's just as damn good as the first one, and you're going to score eventually doing that because a tired PK unit and just bringing it to them with fresh legs with a fresh unit that's just as good as the other one, I mean, it just makes sense to me. I don't know about anyone else, but...
Oh, sure, makes sense. Hey, before we go on, I do want to mention, before we get too far into it, we do have a Patreon account that we're giving away this Boston Bruins hand-signed Ray Bourque prize bundle. You get the hand-signed jersey fully authenticated. You get the 8x10 picture fully authenticated. You get the hand-signed puck fully authenticated and the mini helmet fully authenticated, all from Bruce Sullivan from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia. This is our way to say welcome back, hockey, and thank you to our financial supporters, the best ones out there. But this is all going to be eligible for people that do go to patreon.com/blackandgoldhockeypodcast and donate just $1 per episode. But like I said, I just wanted to mention that before we get too deep into this awesome hockey talk, because we're all over the place. Every week we're all over the place. Exactly. Just instant chaos. Wake up on Sunday morning, fire up the StreamYard, and instant chaos. Bruins hockey talk is what we live for. I do want to touch on Nick Foligno one more time, and I know we're going to be pumping his tires probably a lot because he deserves it. I mean, this is a guy that I have personally been down on, and not because he's a terrible person and this and that, and he sucks and the narrative out there, but it's just something that you like to see the effort that he's doing from an aging veteran. And what he's saying in press conferences that he wants to be a Bruin, he wants to be here, he wants to contribute. He doesn't want to be that guy that's a passenger and so on. But I really do think, like I said to Dom earlier, while Kevin was on his little walk away, that
I still have this. I heard everything.
Oh, okay, all right. that he, he's really has taken on a leadership role and pretty much like in command of the bottom six when needed, and I think he's done a really good job. An inspirational leader that can be leaned on heavy because has the experience and so on. But we're also seeing results that many of us didn't think that could happen. We were all, I know me, I'm going to speak for me. I was more or less trying to figure out how to move his contract. I don't believe I gave him enough of a chance to really, show early in the season what he can do. But hey, I've been wrong several times, and I'm not going to stop being wrong. It's just something to do with how I'm put together. But I like what I'm seeing, and the bottom six, we're seeing small progressions of bottom six offense and grindiness that everybody's telling me is needed in the playoffs. And this is exactly what I love to see. If we can get consistency from November, December, January, and February, March, April, with this type of bottom six, you gotta be happy about stuff like that.
Yep, I think we all were trying to figure out how to move Nick Foligno's contract. It's just, and that's to no fault of us. The players not living up to expectations. You need to move money out. It makes the most sense to try your best to move a contract like that out. But I think we all knew that it wasn't gonna happen. So I think for me, I knew going into the season that they were going to give Nick Foligno every chance to play out that contract here in Boston. They were going to give him every chance. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I definitely didn't expect this. I can't even sit here and pretend like I did. I don't think anyone did what he's doing right now. He looks like Nick Foligno of old. Not old as in old age, but the Nick Foligno that was playing for Columbus, in the top six situation. That's how it looks to me. I mean, he's all over the place. He's got 3 goals in 6 games? I mean, okay, you gotta love it.
Gotta love it. All right.
I'll be honest. I'm still looking for a way to move that contract. To me, knowing what the Bruins have to do when it's time to activate Charlie McAvoy and think about banking cap space towards the end of the season for trade deadline, it's the logical contract to trade. You can talk about trading Mike Riley, but that just isn't enough to get it done. And now, obviously, when McAvoy does return, the Bruins are going to have 9 NHL defensemen, all on one-way contracts. So, logic dictates that's where they're going to be looking to make a move.
Yeah.
I'd move Smith and Riley. I'd move them both. That's just my opinion.
Trades are easier said than done, though, Kevin.
Try. I guess I should have said try.
Yeah, do you move them to one team? No, that's not going to happen. No. Nobody has the cap space for that. So,
you might have to eat a mill on each. You never know.
You just might have to.
Yep.
But it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's less than a month away when they've got to get this all figured out. They're okay when Marchand comes back because all they have to do is clear a roster spot, and that's just sending somebody down. But when it comes time to activate McAvoy, there's major decisions that have to be made. And the thing that worries me is that Coach Jim Montgomery might not even get a say in it on who goes and who stays, because the move is going to be is going to be made because of cap hits and salary cap, not about who's deserving of staying and who deserves to go.
Yeah, it's gonna be heavily relied on the mastermind of Evan Gold and the cap massaging that's gonna happen, because right now the Boston Bruins not right now. Last night when I looked at the cap number, it was a little over $5 million in available cap space, but we have to consider that there's players on IR and LTIR right now, and then you'll be over that. So yes, we do have to make a move and so on, but that's just Evan Gold right there, and it's not a personal thing against the player or anything like that. That's just part of the business, as you and so many other people that know that study the cap religiously have been preaching about for years and years. When you're a team that's so competitive and always up against the ceiling.
Yeah, like I mean, everybody says like. Well, it's easy. Just send Jack Studnicka down. Put him on waivers. Well, no, that doesn't work. They need to clear about $3.6 million based on my math. That's what they need to clear. Jack Studnicka makes $790,000. It's not enough. Yeah, maybe you do that to Jack Studnicka for the roster spot, but that ain't clearing cap space.
And other GMs know that you need to move people out. Yeah. So it's going to make it harder. That doesn't mean, like, I remember talking to somebody, they were trying to tell me you'd have to put a first-round pick or something onto a contract to move it. And I don't agree with that. I just don't think that you're going to get back a return that you think you could get back for a certain player. It might be a future considerations type of thing. We just saw it with Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if you make the move now as opposed to waiting a month, might be more beneficial, because everybody knows the Bruins don't have to make that move now. So they might get less burnt by making the move now as opposed to waiting.
Yeah, I might be able to get a seventh out of it right now if you try.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing personal at all. I mean, it's just to be cap compliant at whatever time these players like Marchand and McAvoy come back. I mean, you got to do something, and like we always preach, it's a business and so on. But it's
well, we got to clarify, Mark. We are cap compliant when Marchand comes back.
Yeah, but not when.
Not when Marchand fits under the LTIR that McAvoy is on. Yep. It's when McAvoy gets activated that they're in trouble. There's no problem with activating Marchand other than clearing a roster spot. And I'm afraid that, to do that, you've got two players that are waiver exempt. Jeremy Swayman, who's not going anywhere,
right,
and Jacob Lauko.
Yep.
Yeah, which in this mind is kind of expendable, regardless of the effort that he's putting in thus far.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want Lauko going anywhere. If it was up to me, I'd send Freddie down. If someone claims him, bye. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, I like Freddie. I don't think he's a bad – I think he's got some skill. I think he's a good hockey player when he wants to be. And I don't know if he wants to be. That's my problem with
it's
Freddie.
The left side that's overloaded, right? If you take a look at the left wingers they've got, Mark, when Marchand comes back, it's the left side that they're loaded on, other than defense. So you'll have Marchand, you'll have Hall, you'll have Zacha, you'll have Frederick, you'll have AJ Greer, and you already have Jake DeBrusk who's playing the offside.
Yep. So
sorry, go ahead.
Real quick question. We'll just answer a question that was on the BNG listener hotline. And if anybody wants to get involved in that, please call 978-504-2727 and leave a very brief Bruins-related question for us or a topic that we should be discussing. But Pete in North Carolina asks, when Marchand does come back, which player on the left side is being sat or sent down?
I got Bruins healthy lines all ready to go. So I can just give that lines for my answer right now.
If you want to do that right before the Athletic Greens, go for it.
Yeah, I have Marchand, Bergeron, and DeBrusk. I have Hall, Krejci, and Pasternak. I have Zacha, Coyle, and Foligno. and then I have Greer, Nosek, and Lauko. So for me, Frederick is the odd man out.
And you're also taking Smith out in that situation.
I have him traded, in my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with at this point, if we're just looking at the left side alone, that Frederick is the odd man out, based on 6 games and what I've seen so far.
Yeah,
and Greer, Lauko, and Foligno can all play the right wing.
Yeah.
So
I like Freddie a lot. I've been watching him since he's been drafted and played at Wisconsin in the U.S. developmental program and so on. And like I said in several podcasts over the summer, I just wish that what I saw in Providence for that year and a half, I wish for that translated into the NHL game, because it was really good to see down there. And I get excited. I pumped his tires. I get it. And I think he's still a work in progress, even though that people are really frustrated about his progression and the narrative of him being a number 1 pick and so on. So, everybody kind of gets it a little later in their lives, but I was hoping that he would get it, the whole package sooner rather than later. But it is what it is. But I more or less I was just really excited about how Jim Montgomery came into this Boston Bruins team and really said that he needs to see more from Freddie. And he's going to get the opportunity to do it. And I think that he's getting that opportunity, but I just don't think that it's really translating to what Jim actually and staff wants to see on the ice. So, I'm not giving him a free pass, but I'm also not going to torture him for taking a stupid penalty either.
For me, it was the Ottawa Senators game. I believe that was the game where he went out of his way to interfere with a player by the bench. I think that was the game. If it's not, someone can correct me, but that was the moment in my mind where I said, Freddie's out for me. I'm done with the antics. There was no point in what he did. It was just so stupid. And at a point where you're trying to get back into the game, I was just like, we can't have this, especially in the playoffs. It's just, we can't have it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think it's time we hear Kevin talk about Athletic Greens.
Absolutely, Mark. Our newest partner, Athletic Greens, has just the product to improve your everyday life. I started taking AG1 because I was sick of taking all those tasteless little pills every morning to get the results I wanted for my gut health and immune system. Now I've been on it for a couple of months, and I love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It has kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each morning. So what is this stuff? With 1 delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. I personally use it in the morning to get my day started right. Just put it in my travel bottle and I'm ready to go. I have more energy to face the day, and my gut health has never been better. My family and friends ask me what my secret is to my lifestyle improvement, and I always tell them AG1. You need even more reasons to try AG1? I got you. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Athletic Screen has 7,000 5-star reviews and is recommended by professional athletes. Right now, it's the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/BNG. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/BNG to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Absolutely. Well done, Mr. Kevin. And
thank you.
And help support our podcast by getting some Athletic Greens for you. And don't wait till like New Year's to do the whole healthy thing going on. Start it now and then prepare yourself for the upcoming year of health and good gut health. But anyway, Thank you very much, Kevin. We're back talking bees with our boy Dom Tiano, making his return to the podcast after I don't know how many weeks, but it's so good to have you back and hearing you talk bees. It's just it feels good, my friend.
Yeah, glad to be back. It's actually been, I believe, it's been 5 weeks. So
yes, yep, absolutely. All right, let's talk about Taylor Hall. I know we bounced around with him lately, but what are we seeing from this particular player? We know the character and the skill and so on, but are we seeing like a revitalized type of Taylor Hall? Because I'm seeing one that is just more engaged in not only his effort on the ice, but also with supporting members along the bench. You know, when you look away from the puck and so on, and face-offs and so on, he's constantly talking to people. I saw something really interesting in yesterday's game between him and Pasternak, and it almost, I mean, they were talking about what happens on a draw and so on, but it was almost like they were frustrated with each other a little bit, trying to get the message and where people should be. And I found it kind of like cool that you can go, not like to have a full-on argument, but like almost like, you know, criticize a certain play and talk about where certain people should be. It should be allowed. It allows for creativity and so on. And obviously Pasternak and Hall are two creative players in this league, and they have been for several years. So just thoughts on Hall and what he's provided so far and the energy he's bringing to the second line, especially with David Krejci coming back. And I mean, that guy as well. It's just been just a pleasant to see, a shock to see how well he's adjusting and so on, you know. But thoughts?
Dom, you want to go first?
yeah, well, we knew that Hall had chemistry with Krejci for what we saw after he was brought in on trade deadline a couple of years ago. And we knew from last year that Hall had chemistry with David Pasternak based on what they did last year. And we knew that Pasternak had chemistry with David Krejci based on what we've seen them do previously in the NHL, but more recently at World Championships. So it was only common sense that you put the three of them together and see what could happen. I think not only has that rejuvenated Taylor Hall, I think it's brought David Pasternak to a whole new level, and I think David Krejci is playing like a 25-year-old because he gets to play with two supremely talented hockey players like Hall and Pasternak. He hasn't had that since the days of Nathan Horton and Milan Lucic, and I wouldn't even put you can't even put Lucic and Horton on the level that you can put Hall and Pasternak. So yeah, I think that trio is a win-win-win situation.
There is not a better situation for Taylor Hall in this league, in my opinion. He's playing in a reduced role like he wanted to on a second line with first-line players.
Yep.
I mean, how the hell can you find a better situation in this league for what he exactly wanted? I think Taylor Hall is just magnificent at what he is doing for this team in the role that he's expected to play. He started off a little bit slow, but I really do contribute that to the injury that he sustained in preseason. He even came out and said this is something that might, come back a little bit here and there. So it might be something that they have to watch going through the season. Maybe it will, need an off-season type of surgery or something for it. Who knows? But we don't know yet. We can't get that far into it. But he's looked a lot better. He's looking more engaged, especially since they put that line together. The Zacha, Krejci, Pasternak line was fun to watch for a little bit, but Pavel Zacha, he's a talented player. He's a good player, but he's not on the level of Taylor Hall. And he's not on the level of chemistry that Taylor Hall has with both of those players. So allowing that line to kind of start gelling now instead of waiting until Marchand comes back, I think was a solid move. I'm happy about the move. It gives Zacha some time to work with Patrice Bergeron and Jake DeBrusk, which is a favorable situation for him as well, before eventually finding his way down to work with Charlie Coyle and whoever ends up on the right side there. I think him and Charlie Coyle will work fantastic together, just because both of them are I think both of them are great on the boards. I don't think he's as good as Charlie Coyle on the boards, but I think he has more offensive skill than a guy like Charlie Coyle, and I think they're going to be able to mesh very well, since their games are kind of similar, but Pavel Zacha has a bit more skill to his game. So I think that the whole situation they have moving forward with every single one of their lines is just so favorable for every player involved.
Yeah, certainly fun to watch, and it's just so good to have everybody engaged and so on, whether it be a change in the message or whatever. It's just, this is exactly what we were hoping over the season, that certain players need to step up. You know, like Derek Forbort is a player that I constantly look at as huge improvements after one full season last year. And I like the way he's a big body penalty killer, and you know, he's been surprisingly mobile as well along the blue line, creating opportunities, getting pucks into the net for the net front presence, and secondary opportunities for those guys standing out front of the crease. So you know, there's a lot of good things that can come out of what we're seeing in this early season. So where do we go from here?
Connor Clifton is where we go from here.
Connor Clifton is in my opinion playing pretty decent, and you know, obviously he's getting better and better the more trust he's gaining, and the more he plays like this, I think a more player like Anton Strawman will probably be sparingly used. Let's just say that way. Wasn't overly impressed with his game against the Ottawa Senators. I haven't been really. And I know, Dom, that we talked about this in a private chat and so on, but I just don't see what everybody saw in the off season. I get the experience and the depth and so on, but when it comes down to things on the ice, I see a lot of, I don't know, things that rookie mistakes would do, and I don't know. I kind of think that during the preseason and so on, that younger players deserve the spot over him. That's just my opinion, though.
When it comes to Strawman, my first thought of that Ottawa game was he was nowhere near ready for it. That's just my opinion on it. I think he was thrown into a situation that wasn't very favorable for him. He's dealing with these visa issues, trying to get everything sorted out so he can get into the lineup and start focusing on hockey.
Not only that, his family too, Kevin.
Yes, of course. You know, his personal life, exactly, like all of it. It just wasn't very favorable for him. So I'm gonna reserve my opinion on Strawman until then. But I totally see the things that you were seeing as well. I think everyone did. He did not have a good game. It was a bad outing for a guy like him. But the whole defense, it was kind of not everyone on the defense, but the defense as a whole. That was a tough game for the defense too.
Probably their worst game.
Yeah,
it was very bad, very bad. But so I'm gonna hold my opinion on that. We'll see if he gets in for a few games, and then after maybe 3-4 games, everything's settled down. We'll see from there. But Connor Clifton, what I'm seeing is a confident hockey player. I am seeing somebody who he's the way he's throwing his hits right now. There's full confidence. He's like, you know what? I know I can throw this hit right here, and I'm not gonna miss. I'm not gonna put the team in a situation where they're on their heels. And for me, it's funny because it's like, of course, there's other areas of his game that you can look at. He's made mistakes. He's gonna make mistakes. There's not a single hockey player out there who is perfect, and that includes Patrice Bergeron. For those who think he's perfect, he's not. No one's perfect. He's near perfect, but not perfect. Connor Clifton will make some mistakes, and that's okay. That is okay as long as he's paired with a guy who's going. That's why I like the Forbort Clifton. because I think Forbort is able to help him in a way where he's able to take those chances, take those pinches, jump into the offensive zone, which we've seen him doing a lot of lately. I mean, I didn't realize how good he was on his edges. The way he rides the blue line and then starts bringing it down the wall close to the net. I mean, that's beautiful to see for me. I mean, him to be able to have that type of game as well. So I'm very happy with Clifton right now. I think he's confident. I think he's really working hard. Maybe this system is more beneficial to him, even though it hasn't changed a ton on defense. It's kind of like a hybrid, I think, is what Montgomery was talking about. But, Dom, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad, Mark, that you brought up Connor Clifton, because throughout the years I've been his biggest critic, and I'm not one that's afraid to eat crow when it's deserved. But, to date, I've been absolutely right about Clifton. He's not an 82 game a season player. Never has been. He's fantastic for stretches, and other stretches he deserves to sit. Yeah, he's been fantastic through 6 games. I'm not going to deny that, but I need to see more than 6 games from Connor Clifton before I change his name from pencil to ink on my roster. And that's not a negative. That's based on watching him for the last few years in Boston and what he's done. So that should not be anything new for anybody. I think Clifton is also aware that without Charlie McAvoy and now Brandon Carlo on the right side, this is his opportunity to cement himself as that third guy on the right side once they come back. And he's taken the opportunity and running with it. What I want to see is, okay, when McAvoy and Carlo come back, is he still the same player without having to have to prove something out there to win a spot, having it given to him based on what he's done to date? Or is he going to revert back to old Connor Clifton and start taking games off where, okay, Anton Strawman, here you go. Cliffy Hockey ain't getting it done for us right now.
That's fair.
I don't think anything I've said is in speaking bad about Connor Clifton. It's just that's the way it's been with him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. One thing I can say about Connor Clifton, though, is I don't know if I've ever seen him go a 6-game stretch during the regular season playing well. That's just what I think.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember. I remember playoff Cliffy being fantastic, but I don't never remember regular season Clifton me being like, oh my God, this guy's been playing great for 6-7 games. I just don't remember it. It's probably happened. I just don't know.
He's good for 10-game stretches, and that's what I'm waiting for. Is where are you at after that?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's what I want to see. Is where are you when McAvoy and Carlo come back and you've earned that spot and you no longer have to fight for it? Is Strawman coming up behind you and challenging you for that spot, and how are you going to react?
Yep.
And that's what we have never seen from Connor Clifton.
And you know what's funny, Dom, is when you talk about Connor Clifton and his role, and he's not paid to be an 82-game defenseman, because you can see that when he's making $1 million per season, got signed for a 3-year deal at $1 million per. They were the Boston Bruins were basically basing their decision on basically what you were just saying, that you're not going to be that type of defenseman that's going to play all the time. You're going to be a rotationary guy. You're going to be a complimentary defenseman that's going to come in when somebody gets injured or we on a back-to-back. But it's good to see that he's finally getting some consistency going, and we need to see that keep going as long as players like McAvoy are going to be out on the back end. So.
Let's not forget, last year he was scratched for Jacob Sapporo.
Yep.
until Zaboral got injured. That's how he got into the lineup.
Yeah, and there's another one we can talk about too. Is whoever had a decent start to the preseason after ACL, or I think that's what it's called, MCL, whatever. And we all pump the tires. We're like, oh yeah, here comes the ball. I can't wait. And then all of a sudden the regular season happens, and it's kind of, we're seeing a Jacob that's not all there in my opinion, but I don't know. Hopefully he can snap out of it too, because Grizzlick's return to the lineup is like pushing somebody out. So,
and that's the issue, Mark, is without a healthy lineup where everybody can slot in where they're supposed to be, we don't know what we have. Forbert's obviously played his role very well. Clifton has very well. Lindholm, what can we say about Hampus Lindholm?
As advertised.
Yep. Minute munching defenseman that's sorely needed. I don't care. It really bothers me that people still get frustrated that we gave up a first round pick for this guy. And gave him 8 years. Crazy.
The contract is tradable down the line too, the way that they structured it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think Hampus Lindholm, if you didn't have him, you'd be in a bad situation right now.
Oh yeah, especially with McAvoy out.
Very, very bad.
Sure.
I mean, Lindholm is a legitimate top pairing guy. Legitimate. And that is something that we've been missing on that left side for many seasons now.
How many teams? Here's my question for you, Kevin, because I know you have this answer on the top of your head. How many teams right now would Hampus Lindholm be a number one defenseman on?
In my opinion, almost every single one of them.
Yeah. I was going to say, my Amesbury math says 31.
Including the Bruins.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely. He's up there, and he could be a number one on certain teams, and he can be a number two on almost every single, other teams. But yeah, I'd say there's not a single, maybe you could say, no, I was going to say maybe you could say Nashville, but no, I don't think you can even say Nashville. I think
Tampa. I think Hedman would still take it in Tampa. Makar in Colorado. Other than that,
that's just for left side. Yeah.
Other than that, imagine a team like the Leafs with a Hampus Lindholm on their blue line.
Yeah, they need something like that.
Yeah,
they've put all their eggs into their offensive basket, and it's exploding.
Yeah. And the Bruins have two of them in McAvoy and Lindholm. And we complain about the trade and the contract.
We don't. We do not.
Sensible people don't complain.
Oh man,
it's too funny.
The way that Don Sweeney, in my eyes, has redeemed himself from when he first started is fantastic. He's put together a team here today that we are watching, not even fully watching yet, that is very special. I think he's done a fantastic job over the past few years to really go from that retool to building something. Even in 2019, I don't think that team was what we're seeing right now. I think that 2019 team had a really nice, lucky, paved road to that Stanley Cup final, in my opinion. Toronto was their biggest hump to get over, getting to that Stanley Cup final. And then the rest of the way, come on, the Jackets, the Hurricanes, come on.
But people make that argument, Kevin. But I say, well, okay, but the Jackets did sweep the Tampa Bay Lightning. So,
but I think the Tampa Bay Lightning did that to themselves more than Columbus did that to them.
What's to say the Bruins couldn't have done the same thing?
Maybe they could have. But I like their chances almost 100% more against Columbus than.
But I understand. I get your point. I think that this team is worth getting more excited about than the 2019 team.
I think this team can beat Tampa. I think this team can beat Colorado. I honestly, Dom, there's not a single team out there that I don't think this team will be able to beat when healthy. That, in my honest opinion, I think they can beat every team in this league. And not soundly, not handedly. Of course, it's going to be good games, tough games.
Yeah.
But they have a chance to win against every single team in this league and in a 7-game series. I fully believe that.
Yeah, you know when those players come back, like McAvoy and Marchand, it's going to take a higher rise in the competitive nature, you know. So it's going to be exciting to see from what we're seeing. And like I said, I said it during the offseason, as long as this Boston Bruins team can just keep their nose above water and play a little above 500, maybe a little, you know, it's not going to be so bad when it comes down to gauging where you're going to be in the playoff picture at the American Thanksgiving threshold. I think there's a lot of things that can be, it's still a work in progress. These are all great things that we're seeing, but I don't think this Boston Bruins team has seen the full extent of what the league can actually bring at you without these players. I mean, just coming up this week, I mean, Dallas is going to be a true test, you know, but can they be beat? Sure. I didn't think that the Boston Bruins could keep up with the Florida Panthers, but they did it, and they did it physically as well. I mean, that bottom six on that Florida Panthers matchup, to me, I thought was going to get outworked. But, you know, at the end of the day, we outworked them, and it was a surprise to see. It's nice to see how we can get underneath the skin of other teams that are always pesty and so on. You know, the Matt Tkachuk kind of teams and so on that are going to try to, like, get you off your game. They have their Marchands. Marchands are all over the league that people don't understand. And it's effective. It really is.
Mark and Dom, I have a question for you guys. We'll see if you answer it the way I'd answer it. Actually, So one of the biggest things that Boston Bruins fans have complained about over the past few seasons when it comes to this team and their mentality is what?
Physicality,
softness, right? They're too soft. They're not physical enough. What I'm seeing from this team right now is a team that is not going to go out there and be soft and not put up with, and they're not going to put up with any crap. I mean, I've seen even Brandon Carlo before he went down. I saw him using the body. I mean, he had 6 hits in that first game of the season.
And that's what ticks me off about Frederick, because when and I know you said that he would be your odd man out guy on the left side, mine too, but you have Foligno, AJ Greer, Connor Clifton, McAvoy when he gets back, Carlo, like you said in the first game of the season, Forber, to a lesser extent, that are all willing to dish out punishment. Even Zaka to a little extent, you know. I remember him back in junior that, you know, like he would really, really, really take the body. But it's what ticks me off so much with Frederick, because we should be including him in with those guys when we have this conversation, and unfortunately we're not.
Yeah, nope, because he does it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's almost like he doesn't have a safe word. That's the way I like to put it. He's got no safe word. He just goes out there and he'll do whatever the hell he wants. At times, there are times where he gets reeled in by the coaching staff, where they just say, "Hey, you need to cut the shit." But I feel like when they do that to him, his game drops off. Yeah. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like you got to let him be who he is, or you're not getting anything out of him. And I don't want to let him be who he is, because who he is scares the shit out of me. He crosses the line way too many times.
Yeah. It's definitely unfortunate and it's frustrating. I get it. But when we're talking about this type of physicality and so on, I always like we need to do it internally. We have members like Frederick that can do it. Can is the key word here. Is he putting his best effort out there? I don't believe so. But there's still, I mean, Montgomery's still giving him a ton of chances. I mean, he's still stuck on that third line right next to Coyle all the time, and sometimes it flops between AJ Greer when he's in the lineup, but he's given the chances. So, at the end of the year, or even
Mark, he did bench him last game and moved Foligno up.
Yes, that's true. That is true. I forgot to mention that. But you just gotta dig down deep and do whatever you gotta do. Follow through with your hits and so on, but also be smart enough that don't put your team 10 steps behind with a turnover or a stupid play. I mean, I get it. I do get it, but I just wanted to see much better.
We all do.
Here's one thing we got to clear up about Monty here and how he's a player's coach. And I brought this argument before. Just go look back and see the comments Jim Montgomery made about Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin back in Dallas.
Yep.
Everybody looks for that path to greater take it out on Bruce Cassidy. But Jim Montgomery has, so far this season, benched Pavel Zacha for a bad play way back, and I think it was the second or third game of the season. Benched and moved down Trent Frederick just yesterday. Has scratched Craig Smith for 2 games. Gave Jack Studnicka very, very limited opportunity for 1 game and doesn't know if he'll get another chance. So let's not say that Jim Montgomery is this angel compared to Bruce Cassidy. He's an NHL coach. He will do what an NHL coach needs to do. And that is exactly what Bruce Cassidy did. So I'm not buying into that argument.
One more big one that you missed there. He benched Taylor Hall for almost an entire third period.
Exactly. Thank you.
Well, so the accountability is being spread all down the bench when needed. It's not a favoritism thing or at all. If you're a fourth line grinder not producing like Trent Frederick, or you're world class athlete like Taylor Hall, if he sees something, he's going to notice it and you're going to sit. So that's just an act of motivation, in my opinion. Everybody should be set at 99%. Nobody does it for 100. You always have that 1% to work for. So dig deep and get it done. Speaking of digging deep and getting things done, you should go over to show sponsor betonline.ag and get yourself an account. Basketball is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. As your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and major events. You can place a wager on games in the NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head over to betonline.ag website today and sign up to be eligible to receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first cash deposit. Make sure you use our promo code CLNS50. That's CLNS50 to receive the amazing rewards BetOnline has to offer regularly. Also, we ask that you please get your gamble on in a responsible manner. BetOnline.ag, it's where the game starts. All right, we are back. We love BetOnline.ag. Been a sponsor with us for a long time. And, yeah, I love betting. I'm not good at it, but I like to place a little wager here. It's a lot of fun. I don't get crazy with it. But I'm sorry, Dom. I cut you off on something you were trying to say when I was doing.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to segue into something for you or not, Mark. And I know we're recording this, so fans will probably know about it before they hear it here. But Fabian Lysell will miss another game this afternoon. We're recording this 2 hours before the game, I believe, right?
Yes.
right now. So
Game's on at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so he will miss today's game. Again, I know he took a big hit there. I think you were at the game, or at least you watched the game. He took a big hit Friday, Mark. Yes.
It was in a collision that was not involved with Johnny Beecher or anything like that, but just like an unfortunate cut in, and then he hit a body and so on. But I didn't think it was that bad, but obviously it triggered something. So
Yeah, so he's out for today. So I don't know if that's going to segue into anything for you guys. I was kind of thinking like Kevin over there is counting on Craig Smith being the guy being traded. So I guess there's a little segue for you.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes too much sense to me. I think that Craig Smith is the expendable guy right now. I mean, you could even go as far as talking about a guy like Mike Riley too. But for me, Craig Smith is the guy. When you have Nick Foligno doing what he's doing, I understand it's early, and Nick Foligno could tail off tomorrow, and guys like AJ Greer could tail off tomorrow, but you have other guys too. And you have a deadline. If you really needed to address it at the deadline, you can address it at the deadline. You have all these areas and things you can do, but you have to shed salary regardless. I know Dom said Nick Foligno might be a good one. Dom, honestly, that's not a bad idea either. With the way Nick Foligno is playing, you might actually be able to get a damn return for him.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad idea too. But if you want to win a cup this year, like it seems like management and the players want to do, keeping a guy like Nick Foligno around seems like a really good idea. So that's a tough situation. So for me, it's really Smith and Riley.
So let's compare, for the sake of fun, Fabian Lysel's path to David Pasternak's path. So Pasternak went to the AHL, played, I don't know, do you have the numbers in front of you, Mark? How many games he played for Providence?
I'll pull it up. Well, keep talking. I'll pull it up.
So now we have Lysel there doing the same thing. Pasternak went to the World Junior Championships for the Czech Republic at the time, Czechia now. Lysel is likely headed to the World Junior Championships for Sweden. And then, was it right after Pasternak came to the NHL, or did he go back to the AHL for a few games?
he started in the NHL and then just couldn't get any consistency, and then spent, I think, 12 games down in the A, and then got brought back up.
So, how many games did he have, Kevin?
So in 2014, 2015, he had 25 games in Providence, scoring 11 goals and 17 assists for 28 points, and was a plus 15.
Okay, so Lysel's numbers are, what is he, 4 goals, 6 points now through 4 games, I believe it is. He's trending the same way as Pasternak. We know Sweden is going to have him on the World Junior Championship roster, whether the Bruins give him permission to go like they did Pasternak at the time. Do you guys see a situation for Lysel like David Pasternak?
Of course. I think both Mark and I have both left the door open for something like that. We just both think it's probably best for any player to get a full season in the American Hockey League. But of course, I mean, if the situation warrants it, and Lysel is absolutely tearing up Providence, and they need someone like that to come up, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Hey, Dom, now I'm going to throw this question back to you again, okay? But I want to talk about the developmental spectrum between 2012 whenever David Pasternak came into the league till now. I think, now in my personal opinion, and I definitely could be wrong on this and just reaching a little bit, but I kind of think that they really wanted to rush David Pasternak into the lineup to create more offense back then. and were willing to like do whatever they needed to do. Where I see a similar path that David Pastrnak took and what Fabian Lysell might take, but they're more breeding patience upon themselves to properly develop a player like Fabian and give him what he needs, but not to immediately have to like say, hey, we need this young talent immediately in our roster. So would you kind of consider there's two different scenarios between the players when it comes to development and how fast we really need this player into the NHL?
I totally. It's like the difference is what the Bruins are now the highest scoring team in the NHL right now.
I know, that's pretty crazy.
So they don't need Fabian Lysell to come up and score goals like they needed David Pastrnak, like you said. The thing now, Mark, is entry-level contracts and coming out of entry-level contracts has so much effect on what a team does with the player. And there's mixed reviews on how teams should handle it. So Fabian Lysell, because he signed as an 18-year-old, last year he played in the WHL, so his contract slid for a season. So his entry-level contract didn't burn a year. This year, because he signed as an 18-year-old, if he does not play in 10 NHL games, AHL doesn't matter. If he signed as a 19-year-old, AHL would matter. But because he signed as an 18-year-old, AHL does not matter. His contract will slide again. So it won't start until next year. So in actual fact, the Bruins have him under contract control for 5 years.
Wow.
Even though he only signed a 3-year entry-level contract. Okay?
God, I missed you.
So here's where NHL teams are now mixed on what they should do. Because he spent 2 years developing, let's say he doesn't play in 10 NHL games this year. Next year will be his first year of his entry-level contract, whether it be in the AHL or the NHL. And he starts to burn it up, okay? His contract will expire in 3 years, and he will already have achieved top-level player he can be, meaning he's going to earn that huge payday. However, had the Bruins burned off a year last year and burned off a year this year, there would be 1 year left on his contract, which would be next year, where they could sign him to a bridge deal. So instead of paying him $7-8 million per year on his next contract, they could have him for $2.5-3 million on his next contract. So teams are now confused. I don't want to say confused. They have mixed feelings on how they should deal with players under his situation. Some teams say it's better to let him burn off that entry-level contract right away because you can sign him for cheaper on a second deal.
Another thing too to throw in there, it's not going to be as extravagant as what Dom just said, but it is a thing. Mark touched on it a bit with the goal scoring part of it, but another part of it is that Boston at that point was at the beginning of a retool. They had the opportunity to fit a guy like David Pastrnak into the lineup and allow him to take his bumps and make his mistakes without really any worry about it kind of coming back on them. I mean, they still wanted to be competitive, but they also knew what they had in this player, and they wanted to see him go ahead and just get his feet wet and get it going. This is a totally different situation. This is a team right now who, like Mark said, is scoring at an unbelievable rate at the moment, and they have a lot of NHL-ready players and players who are, ready to go that can step into this lineup. They have a full top six that Lysell is not taking any of them out of there at this moment. Allow him to continue doing what he's doing in Providence, like Dom was just talking about. Allow him to have that contract slide to next year. When you have guys like Nick Foligno, you have guys like Craig Smith, you have these guys coming off the books and out of your lineup, and you can now give him possibly a space to come in and work his magic. So that's just, my opinion on it.
All right, moving on to another topic. We will talk a little bit about the Providence Bruins later on if we can fit it in. I do have some some exciting stuff to talk about, especially some players that are really, really playing well in the early part of the 2022-23 season.
And his mother was happy that you're talking nice about him. One of the guys that you're talking about, I can't say his name.
Oh, Toporowski?
Yes, I saw his mother liked
his dad follows me and so on, so it's pretty cool. His dad was a badass back in the day. You should see his hockey DB. Look at his penalty minutes. It's freaking crazy.
I'll check it out.
Zdeno Chara was in the house at TD Garden before the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, because Kevin mentioned David Pastrnak, and I tried to explain life situation.
Oh, the internet's bad.
Can use David Pastrnak, 18-year-old. Okay.
Dom, the internet's not working too well.
His contract slide. Okay. So his second contract was worth $6.6 million for what? 6 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Bruins could do the same thing with Fabian Lysell. Because now they have him under that contract for 5 years, you're not getting him for $6.6 million on his second contract because he will already have been a pro for 5 years. Whereas they were able to.
Ooh.
Hopefully that makes more sense for everybody out there.
I wish we could have heard it, Dom. Your internet's pretty bad. Yeah, I think it was cutting out. But anyway, we'll keep the conversation going. Zdeno Chara was in the house at TD Garden yesterday to drop the puck before the game between the Boston Bruins and the Minnesota Wild. And great moment for Z, who just recently retired, and after a very long career in the NHL, and good on him to be recognized. But more or less, I just wanted to bring this up because the fact is that a lot of people got frustrated about this, saying that there should have been more done for him and not just to come out and do it. Just drop the puck and then scoot on out and it's game time. There's a few people on the internet out there that would seem to be that was a kind of a slap in the face to the veteran who ultimately changed the dynamic and the culture here in Boston. But I just want to kind of mention to those folks who think that it was kind of classless of the Boston Bruins organization to do something like this, that this might be just a process of things to come. I think that ceremonial face-off will come, and then sooner or later, whether it be this year or next year, who knows? I don't have any valid notes or any official news, but I think there's going to be a banner raising. I think that 33 is going to be in the rafters, and I honestly think that type of celebration will come sooner or later. So I don't think the Boston Bruins did Zdeno Chara any wrongdoing at all by having a moment like that. So I believe there's more to come, and obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion.
No, I agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't see it as a slap in the face. I mean, they signed the guy to a one-day contract to end his career as a Boston Bruin. All Boston Bruins were in attendance, or if not most, were in attendance for that ceremony that they had for his contract signing. They gave him a night where he was able to drop the puck. They did a nice video package for him. I think that was fantastic. He was able to bring his kids out on the ice to share the moment with him. And like you said, I think moving forward, not only is there going to be a place for him in the organization if he wanted to be, whether it's player development or any type of thing like that, but also I as you do, think that his number will be raised to the rafters at some point. Number 33 will no longer be able to be used ever again. And that's going to be quite the spectacle. So I see no issue with what they've done for Zdeno Chara thus far.
Don, what are your thoughts on Zdeno Chara's ceremonial puck drop, and do you believe that there's more to come in the future of celebrating this hockey legend?
Oh, definitely. That 33 is going up in the rafters. It's just a matter of time. It's just now, do the Bruins do it when they face the New York Islanders, when they drafted him, or do they do it when they play the Ottawa Senators where Zdeno had some good years? This was just a precursor to that. I don't know if somebody's making a big deal out of it or not on the internet. They shouldn't be. It was the perfect thing to do at the start of the year, and towards the end of the year, retire his jersey.
Absolutely.
So, Dom, you ready to cut out of here?
Yeah, I've got to cut it short, boys. Unfortunately, some of the medication I got to take is starting to take effect, and got to go lay down for a bit.
Okay, Dom, this has been amazing. I know it's been tough to sit in front of a computer for more than 5 or 10 minutes at a time, but you almost gave us an hour and a half, and I cannot thank you enough for sitting with us today. It feels really good to have you back and hear your voice and us as a group back talking hockey again, and hopefully we can do this more often. And please don't hesitate to let us know if you just want to stop in for 20 minutes or a half an hour. You, sir, are always welcome because you're an element to this program and a huge contributor to its success. And we love you. We can't stop, loving the guy that we brought on, and so happy that you are with us. And obviously keep in touch on the DMs. About everything that's going on, and if you ever need to talk, you know that you can always reach out to us.
Will do, boys. Much appreciated.
All right, my friend.
Have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, I haven't got the energy right now.
I've been doing it for you in the past couple of weeks, my friend.
Yeah, I've heard. So you do it for me today.
Absolutely.
Thanks, boys.
Love you, man. Take care, brother.
Bye.
Absolutely amazing to have him on, and just God, it doesn't seem like he missed a step in the 5 weeks that he hasn't been around since the unfortunate health hazard that he had. So.
Yep. And this is the medication. This is the medication that's causing this thing, as he said. So once eventually down the road, when he's able to be off this medication, he's going to be able to do stellar. So
yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, it's just amazing that he was able to sit with us for a good hour and a half or close to it, and so this might be something that we can move forward with, if he obviously if he feels up to it. I don't pressure anybody to do anything. So, but if he feels up to it, he can always just stop in for a couple minutes and just say hi. Let everybody know he's around. I know a lot of folks have been asking about his health and so on and when he's coming back, because, so many rely on the thirst of knowledge that guy has, and that's a big reason why we've gained numbers and more attention to our weekly program when we talk Boston Bruins hockey, from the NHL down to the prospects worldwide. So, and it's a lot of fun, and it's always good to have him on there because everybody's learning. Everybody's learning when we seem to come on. We all have some decent takes.
Yeah, Dom brings an aspect to this podcast that you don't really get to see in a lot of other podcasts, and that is his extreme knowledge of how the other side of this game works within management, within the cap details, contracts, all of it. I mean, that is an extremely valuable asset and tool to have. And I mean, obviously his wisdom on the ice is also top notch as well. So that is great. But he gives us a good aspect to it, and we love you, man, and we're happy that you were able to come on. And now the train keeps rolling.
Absolutely. And if you want to follow the great Dom Tiano, follow him on Twitter @Dom Tiano, and read his stuff on dom.hockey, because he's got some amazing articles talking about the Bruins prospects, more importantly, and some NHL Bruins news that he jots down and so on when he can. So always a good read and always very insightful, and just happy that he's a part of this team. All right, moving on to the next topic before we hit another commercial break. We do not have one from Bruce Sullivan, so I'll do a Can I Wellness. But Boston Bruins forward Craig Smith, I know we touched on him a little bit, but I do want to get into, the scratch and so on. But, it's starting to be a little more inconsistent and so on. And I think that Jim Montgomery really noticed that, and obviously you got the scratch for the two games. But what did you see in the game against the Minnesota Wild that rejuvenated your thoughts on he could be a better player in this system and a guy that we could actually rely on moving forward?
Yeah, I think he definitely had a better game than he has in the past. I still don't see, the Craig Smith that we are used to seeing, especially in the first season that we had him, and more than not in last season. I see a lot of people dogging on him for last season, but I still think you saw a committed player who was out there giving it his all. He may not have, put up 20 plus goals and, giving you, that stuff on the stat sheet, but he was still there, chugging along. But in this game, one thing that I did notice was flashes of his board work. He is very tenacious on the boards. He's able to get in there. He's able to get away with pucks, get an outlet pass, whether it's to a defenseman or a player in the slot. That's something I've seen from him quite a bit, and that's something I did see from him yesterday. Another thing, too, is I saw him being able to jump up on the play a lot better, kind of read the ice a little bit more with the players around him, and put himself into favorable positions to shoot. I'm going to look up exactly how many shots he did have last game, but Craig Smith definitely had his best game so far of the season. I mean, he's an even 0 with plus minus. I don't really pay attention to that stat much, but sometimes it can be, something to look at, but not right now. But through 4 games, he has 2 assists. You can't really completely hate on the play. You got to kind of reserve it a little bit. Allow it, whether it's because there's a new system in place and a new head coach, and he needs to get used to that, or maybe he's just losing a little bit of his steam.
There's stretches of games where he can be unnoticeable, especially on the score sheet. And while everybody else around him is point producing in the bottom 6 offense, you wonder where he's going to be and when he's coming. And I know I understand what you just said. You need the adjustment scenario, a new voice, new coach, and so on, trying to find your bearings and blah blah blah. But he's a veteran; he should be able to get it too. But that's the most frustrating thing: is somebody that puts the puck on so much is not getting that finish, those real opportunities to really put the secondary scoring of this Boston Bruins team over a huge threshold and make them even more of a threat moving forward. So it's not that I don't like Craig Smith. I kind of look at it as a business with my business bifocals on and just say that's something that we need to free up a roster spot. But not only that, but also be cap compliant. And I like the idea that Dom brought earlier about maybe it's needs to happen now that a move has to be made before we get to the point where Charlie McAvoy is absolutely ready, and that AAV to jump back on off of LTIR and get back into the whole cap scheme and be cap compliant then. So, I mean, there's so many things that could happen, and I do want to give the player the benefit of the doubt, but I'm also just like, Jesus, I'm kind of waiting for, something to happen. And I understand I was a little hard on him last year, but there was stretches that he wasn't around, but there was times that, he caught a hat trick last year, and I was like, man, this is what I want to see. Let's get on a roll from here, moving forward. And then he goes 6, 7, 8 games without even an assist.
Through 4 games played for him so far, Mark, he has 4 shots. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, it needs to be, like I'm saying, like all the stuff that people were saying and all the analytics and underlying numbers or whatever you want to call them was saying this guy just put so much rubber on the net. Where's it been?
Yeah, so far it's definitely down. He had 2 shots last game. So far, that's the most shots he's had in the game. One of them was very impactful on that 3-on-1. He was able to get a good shot off. It produced a good rebound. If someone was there, that would have been very helpful. He did take 20 shifts for 12 minutes and 20 seconds of total time on ice. So his ice time was there-ish. Usually he's between that 12:30 and like 13:50 mark. But yeah, I mean, I saw good things from him yesterday, and I'm hoping that continues moving forward. But if they were to try and trade him and were able to succeed in trading him, like let's say tomorrow, you have options. You have options that you can do until a guy like Marchand comes back. You can do a Frederick, Coyle, Foligno third line while having a Greer, Nosek, Lauko fourth line. You could even give Studnicka another try in there, but I don't think they'd really miss a beat if they lose Craig Smith. So trying to get something like that done now sooner than later, like you were just talking about, I think would be very beneficial. And then maybe if you need to do another one, like I think Dom was saying that you probably have to clear some more after that. So maybe they try to move Riley, maybe they don't. But, maybe you look to do Riley a little bit later on. But there's going to be no package. There's going to be nothing coming back to this team of worth. So if you're expecting to trade Craig Smith for a third-round pick, it's not going to happen. Not just to play on the ice. It's also because of the situation that the Boston Bruins are in right now. They have to clear the space. I mean, like I used earlier, look at Vegas. Vegas had to give up Max Pacioretty for future considerations. That is insane.
I know.
That's insane. So a future consideration thing, but you might have to throw a sweetener in there, whether that's a later round pick, maybe a mid-round pick to later round pick, or a player like a Jack Studnicka who just needs a little bit. Maybe he just needs a new place to play. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, something like that, but you're not going to get like a Fabian Lysell attached to him or a first-round pick. I think that's bonkers. That's not the route that we're in here. This isn't a David Backes type of situation or a Bolesky type of situation where you need to attach a first-round pick to a player to get rid of him. It's not what we're dealing with here.
My thought on Craig Smith real quick before we hear from Can-I Wellness is there's two avenues that can be explored when you're talking about this player. Number one, it's cap relief. Number two, it's a roster spot. So you pretty much, if you move him, you, like you said, you're not bringing on a player because money needs to work. It's not just the roster spot and so on, but money needs to work too. But also, if you're really seriously going for it and you need to add your depth by adding a speedy winger, that might also be an opportunity to look at a player like Fabian Lysell. Hopefully he's healthy by then. Or even Mark McLaughlin, who could play the right side as well, be slotted somewhere because of, you opened up a spot for the rest of the season until a hopeful playoff position is opened up and. But anyway.
Waiver exempt Mark McLaughlin, so perfect guy to bring up there. And I mean, I believe Fabian Lysell is also waiver exempt too. So
yes, absolutely.
So that wouldn't be an issue either. And a guy like Merkulov, another guy who is waiver exempt. Yeah, I believe.
And we'll talk about all those players later on when I talk about the Providence Bruins and how they've started their season so far. But let's talk about the great folks at Can-I Wellness. Can-I Wellness offers you 4 distinct experiences for the different challenges you may face throughout the day. Can-I Sleep, Can-I Mend, Can-I Fresh, and Can-I Boost. It's the trusted brand for sports, fitness, and wellness households. With over 50 vitamins, nutrients, and herbal extracts in 4 compact sprays, it's the most convenient way to get back on track with no pills, water, or messy powders. 90% of nutrients in these oral sprays are absorbed in less than 30 seconds. It's like an entire health food store, and they're in your pocket and is endorsed by Olympians, NHL players, and pro sports stars who rely on the Can-I Wellness Company to support high performance. Let's talk about each product quickly. Can-I Boost allows you to skip the coffee and sugary snacks and energize the healthy way. Use daily before your workout, when studying for an exam, and other times you need increased clarity, stamina, and concentration. Can-I Mend provides the after-party liver support and works fast to relieve hangovers in the morning after drinking. The unique oral spray supplement is blended with 11 vegan vitamins and herbal extracts to replenish your bodies to combat headache, sickness, and lack of energy. Can-I Fresh? Can-I Fresh reduces stress and gives your body an immune system boost. Whether you're nervous before a presentation or need to calm down after a hectic day, the 11 natural and vegan ingredients in Can-I Fresh take the edge off without making you tired or unmotivated. And finally, Can-I Sleep? Can-I Sleep? This is an all-natural and vegan sleep aid and is convenient and fast-absorbing. No mixing beverages or waiting for gummies to kick in. Just spray, roll over, and snooze. Control your dosage on how much sleep you actually need. If you want to try any of these amazing Can-I Fresh and all-natural oral sprays, please go to caniwellness.com and use our promo code BNG25. That's BNG25 to get 25% off everything on the caniwellness.com website. We thank Can-I Wellness for sponsoring this episode and our weekly Boston Bruins-related podcast.
Well done.
God, I'm getting better at those ad reads every day.
Yeah.
And you were right. Like I keep pumping your tires on the suggestion. Let's do them live and let's, do this and that and be more engaging and then sounding like a goddamn robot that's reading a script every week, right?
It's fun, though.
It is. I
like it.
Absolutely. All right. We are back talking Boston Bruins hockey for the last half hour of the program. And if you stayed up till this, stayed up like it's a school night. But if you stayed with us and listening and watching on YouTube, please subscribe, by the way. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We'd certainly appreciate that. But we also appreciate everybody that does everything for us and supports our weekly Boston Bruins hockey talk. Here's one that really kind of brought Boston Bruins Nation into kind of a hizzy. AJ Greer gets a healthy scratch yesterday against the Minnesota Wild. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I kind of think that you're a rational person that kind of figured this out as well as myself, but others didn't see kind of what the message was there. So what were your thoughts on a player like this that's come to the Boston Bruins organization with something to prove as a guy that did not secure a roster spot when he signed as a free agent and still had to work his ass off just to get there. And what we've seen from the offseason to now is something special and to a Boston Bruins team that does need that little bit of increased physicality.
Yeah, so I saw what Monty had to say when it comes to AJ Greer and the healthy scratch for him. And I understand what he's saying. I get what he's saying. It makes sense. But my gripe is that this player is not – it's a 25-year-old kid. I mean, I'm just not I'm not sure he needs that break. I'm sure Greer was sitting there scratching his head saying, what? I'm good. What do you mean? I'm fine. Like, what? I'm absolutely fine. I'm in tip-top shape. I'm feeling great. I can play. What? I just don't see if he wanted to do it because he wants to rotate more guys in and keep everyone fresh, okay. I'll get on board with that, but the explanation of, he plays a hard-nosed game and he's going to, basically he's afraid what? He's going to get injured? I mean, so you're going to not play certain players at times because you're afraid they're going to get injured because they play hard, like people like Marchand or, guys like that. I don't know. I just think the reasoning, I get what he's trying to say, but he's a 25-year-old kid who's balls to the wall having the time of his life right now. He's doing the best he's ever done in the NHL. I mean, I just didn't see, I don't know. I'm still kind of, after a lot of time of thinking about it, I'm still kind of not really cool with the decision.
I was puzzled myself, but I also didn't fire from the hip and discuss and vent it on Twitter or social media or anything like that. But
I did.
You're one of those. No, I'm just kidding.
I did.
But no, it kind of brought me back to looking at the schedule. It's like on Friday the 21st, there was a full day off. There might have been a team practice and so on, but that's, you are burning a little bit of calories on those days, but it's not like game day when you're going to be, busting your ass and so on, and you might get tired. That's the conversation I thought I was going to hear from a head coach like Jim Montgomery back on like Monday and Tuesday of last week when they played the Florida Panthers and Ottawa Senators. That's a conversation I would have loved to hear after the Ottawa game, saying that, well, hey, since it's a back-to-back and we're traveling to Ottawa, we're going to arrest A.J. Greer to get somebody else in there. Now, that's
the timing.
That'd be totally valid. I mean, you know what? That's fine. Don't burn the guy out. But when the guy has a full day off, I totally get it. But also we have to understand that what's being seen in practice is not what we're seeing all the time. I'm not at the Warrior Ice Arena all the time like I wish I was. Mm-hmm. But what's being done behind the closed doors to really initiate Jim Montgomery to make a decision like that, take out a guy that's been really busting his freaking ass. Well, we might not see it. Something might have happened in practice that Jacob Lauko might have been that much better, or Craig Smith was absolutely sick and tired of sitting, upstairs for 2 straight games and just outperform somebody in practice. It happens. If you're not going to work on the ice and you're not going to work in practice, your roster spot is pretty much on the edge, teetering of, we're not going to play you. So it's either you put in 110% or you don't. Whether it be game time or practice time, it's just one of those decisions that it kind of puzzles me, but I kind of understood as well.
Yeah, and we know it's definitely not anything to do with AJ Greer's health, because had he even went to Montgomery and said, "Hey, I'm feeling a little sore. Is there any way we could possibly make it so I can sit a game or something like that?" We would have heard about that. His decision making on that would have been, he's feeling a little bit sore, so we're going to give him the game off, and I fully expect him to be ready to go Tuesday. Something like that. That's what we would have heard, but we didn't. So I don't know. I'm with you. I understand what he's trying to say, but between the timing of it, when there was other games and other times where you could have seen him sit, like maybe Anaheim or that Ottawa Senators game, it's just, I don't know. It was just weird. The whole thing is just weird. But hey, there's a lot of guys who can play in the lineup right now, so I'm not. We won the game. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I feel like we would have won that game with him in there, and as you saw, we won it without him in there. So,
yep.
It's nothing that I'm going to sit here and make a huge fuss over.
But who knows? Maybe this is another one of Jim Montgomery's, motivating factors. Like, let's see what this type of player can come and do after 2 days of rest and a game at TD Garden against the Dallas Stars. This coming week, maybe he gets back in the lineup and we see like the best Greer we've ever seen. Then are we going to be questioning, his scratch? Then it might just be something that is just you need to get in these guys' heads, no matter what level they're at and how well they're doing. They can always do that much better. And I think that having guys that complement that bottom 6 offensive roles like the Folignos and the Noseks and blah, blah, blah down there, it's just going to be positive moving forward because, like I said before when we talked to Dom, those are the types of style of games, those grindy types of lines that really win you championships. And we've seen that within a trend of the last several years with the Tampa Bays and obviously, the Colorado Avalanche teams and blah, blah, blah. All these teams that have bulked up on lower salaries but grinding type players like the guy in Tampa Bay. I can never remember his name.
Oh God,
he's a pain in the ass. Pat Maroon.
Yeah.
So types of players like that. So, all right, let's get through these topics. We're kind of running out of time a little bit. I need to know what's going on with Jack Studnicka. Where are we going with this type of player who continues to have opportunities but yet show anything to be sexy about? I mean, to really say that he deserves to be in this lineup. And I'll go first real quick. I just think that the last game was like the writing on the wall that he might be a leverage piece in a trade if you need to boost up your defense during the season or anything else. Or I honestly don't think that this player should be on the lineup or with the Bruins after the trade deadline because I'm just not seeing his path. I don't know. Hopefully he's not going through any mental illnesses and so on. And I know struggles can be very, very bad on the mind and shit. Hopefully he's all good and so on, but I just wanted to see the player that was solely highly touted as being one of the best Boston Bruins prospects to actually break through and show us why he was picked in the second round. And I'm just not seeing it. And I'd hate to lose a player like this if the Bruins are forced to put him on waivers just to get him down to Providence.
Yeah, I've been on record talking about how Studnicka to me is just. He's not what we thought he was going to be. I don't think he is at this point. I don't even know if he's NHL ready. I've talked with plenty of people who tell me, well, he needs to get more opportunity, this, that, and that. But one of the differences you see between a player like that and players who get those opportunities and run with them is that those players that get the opportunities, they take them and they run with them. Jack Studnicka has not done that once, in my opinion. He's wowed at preseason. I'll give him that. He's been a preseason hero. But when it comes to the regular season hockey, I haven't seen anything from him when he steps on the ice that makes me believe that he is an NHL player at this point. And I don't want to sit here and say that he's a career AHL lifer. I don't want to say that because I want to see him get an opportunity in another situation. A good situation for him might be a place like Seattle, to be honest. Jay Leach is over there, someone who has, worked with Jack before. I'm sure he would love to bring in a player like that to see if they can get anything out of him. So that could be a favorable situation for him, a place where he can go and work through any types of areas of his game that he needs to at the NHL level and not get benched every 5 seconds because of it. I mean, this is a team in the Boston Bruins who is very competitive and looking to not only get a playoff berth, but to win a Stanley Cup. And it's not the time to be allowing players like Jack Studnicka and maybe some others who just aren't really getting it. Look at Lauko. He came right in and said, yep, I'm here. I'm ready to be an NHL player. And he took it and ran with it. Yeah. He didn't need 7 or 8 different times getting a chance in the lineup where we're finally like, oh, crap, yeah, this player is good. So it just gets to the point for me where it's like beating a dead horse, and I'm done beating it.
I could see a player like Jacob Lauko being frustrated about what's being said about him and his rise to the NHL. But to be honest, I love the spark that he gave in the locker room, and it's a confidence booster. But to be honest, for people that have the eye test and so on, that have been watching AHL TV religiously for the past couple of years, we really didn't see it. You really didn't offer it to us to say, Jacob, you need to be in this lineup as soon as possible. This is just something that he, I think, turned on himself. He's in his last year of his entry-level contract, and I just think that he needed to really push himself to be a little more recognized for future work in this Boston Bruins organization. And so far, so good. He's reacted to it. He's moving forward. He's working harder than ever before. So good on them. I mean, it's a big evaluation for a player like this. And what we're seeing in the small sample size of 6 games is positive. And if he's going to be one of those 13, 14 freaking rotationary forwards in and out of the lineup, then that's fine. That's fine with me, But I like what he's doing right now. But he really didn't scream out to anybody that he needed an emergency recall anytime soon. So,
yeah, I mean, and this was his first opportunity to take an NHL job, and he did it. I mean, it may not be every night.
Yeah, on a team where NHL jobs are regularly not available.
He's making a case. I'll give you that. Right now, if he continues doing what he's doing, he's penciled into my healthy lineup.
Yep.
He's penciled in there on the right side of that fourth line because I think when he's playing on that fourth line has a different aspect to it.
So here's a question, okay? Now, we've all heard the salary cap is possibly going up in 2 years. $1 million this year, $1 million next year. Things have been retracted a little bit since the Board of Governors meetings, and 3, 2, 1. Gary Bettman has come out in an article on 32 Thoughts, the article from Elliot Friedman, saying that the debt that the players needed to pay has been paid off. It has aggressively been paid off. Things are really looking good. The NHL is making a lot of money right now. So Gary Bettman even flirted out there that the salary cap could be jumped up to $4 million next season. So that would go from a $1 million bump to a $3 million bump, $4 million. That's my Amesbury math. I love it. So thoughts on a little bit extra money would look good in obviously David Pastrnak, foaming at the lips, trying to get the extra money that he needs to get paid. Thoughts on some more money coming down the tubes?
Well, as someone who has been sitting here kneeling at his bedside praying every night for David Pastrnak to take like an 8x8, which we know is probably not going to happen at this point, an extra $4 million onto the cap would definitely be beneficial to me. Just because in my thinking, I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, give him the extra $2 million. Give him the extra $2 million. Give him the extra $2 million because, we just got $4 million put on top of it. So that's great. I mean, I think every team could use it, of course, but the Boston Bruins, I think that's fantastic because they are going to still have other players that they're going to need to sign. Pavel Zacha, if they decide to continue on with him after this season, which it's looking like they probably would. I don't know why they wouldn't after seeing what Pavel Zacha has been able to bring forth to the team. Even if he's only a guy giving you 40 points on a third line, that's still valuable, and he's young. He's, 25 years old? I mean, that's value right there. You want something like that. So, you can pay a player like that. You can pay Pastrnak. If Krejci and Bergeron want to come back for another year, you got the space to do that too. And here's one of the biggest things. The bonus incentive money from this season for both Bergeron and Krejci's contracts now can be absorbed by that extra $4 million if that happens.
Right.
So look at that. You're in a very favorable situation. So hopefully the league is able to pull that off because I think that'd be fantastic, not only for the Boston Bruins but for the entire league. So we'll see.
So we were talking about Jacob Lauko, all right, and then I went into the tangent about the salary cap and the news about that. So what I was trying to get back to you was, with the salary cap increase that's projected, air quotes, and a final year of Jacob Lauko, going out on the ice and showcasing his skills for future work, could you see him as a permanent player on this third or fourth line next season and not fighting for a job like he is right now?
Absolutely.
Because I think there's going to be some departures over this off season. Particularly, I don't think Craig Smith's coming back. I don't think that should be something that we should do moving forward. I think that roster spot and cap hit needs to be used elsewhere.
Yep. If Nick Foligno wants to continue playing hockey and he wants to come back for a league minimum $1 million max, I'd take him back playing the way he is now, especially if they're still competing for playoff berths and Stanley Cups next season. I'd take him back at that price point. Nothing more. Nothing more. I want to make that clear. I'm not looking to give another $3.8 million contract over 2 years or even 2.5 or 2 or 1.5. It's 1 or lower for me. I'd bring him back. Craig Smith, gone. Nosek, gone.
Yeah.
He'll be gone. I believe this is his last year, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So Nosek, gone. I think a guy like Lauko definitely can earn himself a permanent. He's young. The explosiveness to his game at the NHL level so far has been fantastic. Yeah. I mean, he's really getting himself in the mix in these games, and he's proving he belongs. So to have a nice, cheap option like that, maybe he signs a $1 million contract. Maybe he even goes for $800,000 or something like that. I don't think you'd have to sign him to a $1.5+ million deal. I don't foresee that, or even north of $1 million. Because as we know, Mark, fourth liners in this league have a shelf life on all teams. That's why you're constantly trying to bring up guys from your AHL or your ECHL affiliates, all that. So Lauko could pave himself, a few good years here. Maybe he does better than that. Maybe he proves he can be a third liner. Who knows? There's still a lot of season for him left to see. But as we stand right now, yeah, I would definitely think about getting him permanently into this team.
And while we have a few more minutes, I just want to talk about the Providence Bruins on the American Hockey League. They started their regular season last weekend on Friday, October 14th, with the home opener at the Amica Mutual Pavilion, and they got their first win of the season, and then followed that up with a road victory in Springfield on Sunday afternoon. So going into this weekend, they had a 3-3. They played Friday night to Bridgeport, a team that they played just a week ago, and unfortunately lost in overtime. And then last night, I believe that there was a message given from Ryan Mouchinel and coaching staff about preparedness. This Providence Bruins team had close to 5 days off with 4 days of practice and in between games, and it came out on Friday night and just did not show up at all in the first half of the game. And they lost in overtime with a decent effort to come back later on. But against a team like Bridgeport, I thought that if they came out in the beginning and really pushed, that they would have had a better time of getting the 2 points, not just only one. So with that being said, last night's game, they won 2-1. Kyle Kaiser was absolutely amazing last night. Georgi Mikulov was good. Vinny Lettieri was good. And there's some players down there that are some really serious point streaks right now. Vinny Lettieri is on a 4-game point streak. Fabian Lysell, before he got injured, was on a 3-game point streak. Georgi Mikulov has been a goal-scoring machine. He's pretty much got points in every one of his games. Luke Toporowski has been really good as a rookie in the with the Providence Bruins. Kai Visman, whatever you want to call him, I've been really impressed with his in his small sample size. But there's a lot of good things. Mark McLaughlin, it doesn't have a ton of points, but he's been playing roles and making impacts. So, I mean, Providence has really got a nice team. And they currently sit after 4 games with 3-0-1. So technically they're undefeated on the year in regulation. So Keith Kincaid is playing really well. Kaiser in net has 2 wins so far this season. I think that he's going to have a big year if he can keep a good head on his shoulders, because it's an evaluation year for Kaiser as well. And Brandon Bussey is down in Maine with the ECHL Maine Mariners, and he got his first win on Friday night on the road up in Quebec, Canada. So they're underway as well. So a lot of good things from the minor pro system moving forward. And I'm really excited about this lineup because, I mean, with the way Merkulov and Lysell have been playing, and Kopanen's just been a beast down there. 4-game point streak for him as well. It's just a lot of fun to watch, and glad that we have opportunities as media credentialed members like myself and Jim Swindells and other members that are going to be taking advantage of the interviews and so on. It's just going to be one of those really good seasons for coverage for our BNG Productions team.
Good, absolutely.
You've been watching the AHL as well, haven't you?
I haven't bought the package yet, Mark.
Oh, you haven't?
Haven't bought it yet. I was able to watch that one game that was free on last Sunday. I didn't even get to catch the full game, but I do plan on getting the package. I just need to not be lazy and just do it. Maybe I'll do it today.
There you go.
For the game at 3 o'clock here. But no, I think it's fantastic that we have these young players who are really gelling well together down there and creating something nice and special for themselves. And hopefully it just, gives the Boston Bruins more guys that they can bring in. I think that's a great spot to be in.
Yeah, and folks, when I put the lineups, pregame lineups out there, and please don't get frustrated. I know a lot of people on Twitter that follow me listen to the podcast as well, and they're like, "Oh my God, what is Merkulov doing on the left side on the 4th line? Or what is Lysell doing on the right side on the 4th line?" These are things that developmental coaches do often. when a player needs to tighten up on some of his physicality, whether you're on the first line or fourth line, you're going to be in positions to learn. You're supposed to be down there and act like a sponge. So if a coaching staff sees something that a first line player is not doing, it's not bad. Like, hey, your offensive skills are there as well, but your physicality is lacking a little bit. Maybe a game or two down in the fourth line will get you that feeling that you need to play, you need to have down there, but bring it up to the first line where we expect you to be the all-around player that you can be. It's not bad. It's not like they're terrible prospects and they're busts, and that's why they're on the fourth line. Please stop using that narrative. That's a strictly shoot from the hip narrative. Like, you're frustrated because your favorite prospect is playing on the fourth line. It's got nothing to do with them being bad or not. It's just how each player should learn each style of game. I mean, talented players are going to be on the top line because they're that good at one thing. That they're good at offense. Mm-hmm. And if you need to tighten up on your physicality along the boards and anything like that, a good spot to get that tutelage is to play against the same people on the same line that's going to be grinding on you hard to make that reasonable. So, long-winded answer, but blah, blah, blah. That's what I do all the time.
And if I'm not mistaken, Merkulov was playing center on the fourth line, correct?
I don't know about that. I thought I saw him on the left side, Hall on the right side, and I think even Lettieri was the center on that particular game.
Yeah,
Vinny Lettieri.
Yeah, so for that particular game, I saw that Merkulov was penciled in on the left side in the top six.
Yep.
But for the games previous, he was on the fourth line at the center position.
Yep.
So I wonder if they're trying to develop his center game in a limited role, and then when they're kind of allowing him to do his wing work, they're putting him right where they think he belongs.
Yeah, but that's also yeah, it does. It makes total sense. But it also might be a scheme of the NHL Bruins organization to say, hey Ryan, could you please insert Georgie not only at center but at left wing, because we can kind of gauge him for future NHL roster spot being either on the left side because we're so deep up the middle. It's good this Boston Bruins team is so smart when it comes to player versatility.
Right.
To be honest with you, I know it frustrates so many people, but you got to have it in this league. If you can change your lineup on the fly during a game and have these players that are comfortable in other positions, that's a great thing to have in your tool bag.
Absolutely.
And hey, you know what else is a great thing to have in your tool bag? Is like free gear. Well, not free gear. You pay for it. But we do have a Patreon account. And before we end the show, I do want to mention this. So if you go to patreon.com/Black and Gold Hockey Podcast and donate just $1 per episode, we record 4 to 6 episodes a month. It's a very small investment, but you have a chance to win this month's prize bundle. And it is an all bundle hand signed by the legend himself, Ray Bork. We have a hand-signed jersey, hand-signed mini helmet, hand-signed puck, and a hand-signed 8x10 photo. All of it we're giving away next weekend. I think we're going to do a show on October 30th. And this is a way we're saying welcome back, hockey, but also thank you to our Patreon supporters, the financial supporters that help us pay the bills here at the Black and Gold Sports Media Company. But this is our way to say thank you. We've been saving up all summer to give this prize pack away, like I said, to say thank you and welcome back, hockey. So get on board right now. Go on there, sign up just for this, or sign up for the whole year, because we're giving away a jersey every month after this. It's not going to be a Cam Neely prize pack next month. Can't afford that here. If you guys want to put in $100 per episode, then we'll talk. But but for right now, what we can afford with your gracious donations, this is our way to say thank you to you guys. So the next month's jersey will be in a video that I provide later on. But again, sign up at patreon.com/Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Also, we are continue to look for new people to join the program. And if you want to jump on board please go to Black and Gold Productions LLC at gmail.com and send me a cover letter about what you'd like to do covering the Boston Bruins. We do have credentials sometimes at the NHL. We have full credentials at the American Hockey League and full credentials at the ECHL. So please get in touch if you ever want to contribute and start a podcast or become a writer. It's a lot of fun, and we have a great group of people here. So that's pretty much all I got from there, my friend. But great to have Dom on today, huh?
Absolutely. It was very awesome. And we got him for, I got to tell you this. I'm sure Dom has a lot of confidence going through him right now because he's been holding off on doing this, afraid that he wasn't going to be able to do it for that long. He exceeded his expectations, and unfortunately the medicine kind of kicked in and made it so he couldn't finish it off, but it's going to be a huge confidence builder for him.
Yeah, man. Just having him on, hearing the voice, seeing the face, and it's just good. I mean, we have been talking to him and so on DMs, just making sure that he's okay, and always reaching out if he needs to talk to somebody. But just having him back on the program after a 5-week hiatus it was very comforting, to be honest with you, and hopefully he can gain the strength to come back and do a full program whenever ready, because we love having him here, and it was awesome. That really made my weekend. And my upcoming week that I got to talk to my friend, and we all got to back together again. We're a freaking trio. We're a Bruins content trio. So, with that being said, I'm host Mark Allred. That is Mr. Kevin O'Keefe. This is the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast, episode 302. We want to thank everybody for the interactions on Twitter, interactions on the Discord. The link is below in the show notes for the Discord. Buy some merch. Buy some merch in the link below. We got some stuff that is for sale. Obviously, get on the Patreon. Please support the Athletic Greens. Go to athleticgreens.com/BNG and support Canine Wellness. Go to caninewellness.com and put in BNG 25, and also betonline.ag, our show sponsor, and please use the code CLNS50. Until next week, everybody, this is Boston Bruins Hockey Talk, Black and Gold Hockey Podcast style. We'll talk next week, and hopefully we'll have 3 games, 3 dubs to talk about next week.
Yes.
And much like the 3-1 schedule that we just had in the week prior, 4 games in a week, we didn't think was going to be easy, but it certainly wasn't easy. But coming out of it 3-1 is certainly encouraging moving forward. So let's talk next week. Everybody be safe, and peace. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting this week's episode of the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating and write a review on listening platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. If you'd like to contact the show for advertising opportunities or to send us a question or topic idea we should be discussing, please send us an email to blackandgoldproductionsllc@gmail.com. Don't forget to share our program on your social media platforms with other hockey fans, and follow our Twitter accounts at Black and Gold Pod, at BNG Productions, at Black and Gold 277, and at Kevin_O'Keefe89. Also, please don't forget to check out our official blackandgoldhockey.com website, where we cover the Bruins organization from the NHL level down to the prospects worldwide. Peace out.